I'm just.
Morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Morning.
We're back again.
Yeah, week
So,
two.
Week two. And this week we're talking about financial security. So why don't we, I know that's been a topic that's been going around a lot lately. So why don't we go around and introduce ourselves? Dipti, you're the newcomer this week. Why don't you start off, just quick, who you are, what you do, and who you represent.
So I'm Dipti Joshi. I'm a realtor. I am over at Berkshire and Greenwich, and I'm with Sunbelt in New York. We're sort of on the border, so I work the lower Fairfield County area and Westchester.
All right, Greg. Great. Greg, you're up next.
Yep, Greg Heineman with the Goski of New York. We help people remove pain, restore function, and return to the lifestyle they deserve to live through specifically designed corrective exercise. And even though exercise and financial security don't necessarily go hand in hand, I think we have some good talking points to kind of see how they can relate, and for people who are struggling with the financial security aspect of their life.
All right, fantastic. And Tom.
All right, good to see everyone. Tom Savantry of a wealth strategy practice, premier trusted advisors, and really help empowering my clients to really take ownership of their financial lives, and using a lot of unique life insurance strategies to protect, grow, and perpetuate their wealth. So great to be with you guys here today.
Thank you, Tom. And I am Miles Holly with Barnum Benefit Advisors. I am a P&C agent, also with the fancy title of Executive Insurance Professional. But particularly when it comes to financial security, my line of business, you're only going to use it on a bad day. And so my job is to make sure that your finances are secure in the event that you do have an auto insurance claim or a home insurance claim, or even worse would be, liability claim that can have some far-reaching implications. So yeah, this is a very good topic, I think, for all of us.
Agreed.
All right, so I'll kick it over to Tom. I think this was your idea for the topic of the week. So why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, financial security. I mean, it's Greg shared months ago this interesting sort of a research project that showed what people value and how they make decisions, and that's why we talked about this, because financial security drives a lot of decisions on how people, what they do in their lives, what they prioritize, and the first thing I thought about is, well, how do you even define it? Right? What is financial security? And it can mean a lot of different things for people. And the one I pulled, and I just, when you Google things, right, you find everything. Financial security means having enough money to fund your lifestyle as well as work towards your financial goals. That's one I just found online, whether you agree with it or not. But, it hits on some key points there, right? Having enough money to cover expenses, right? To be able to make your monthly budget and having some money to do other things. I mean, there's some security around that. And so whatever you use as a definition, I mean, from my lens, I look at it similarly, but it's slightly different too, thinking about life outcomes, because money is just a tool to help you live your life, right? So what are the outcomes you want for your family, for your life, and how do you ensure they're achievable regardless of what happens? Because there's so many things that are outside of our control. And I know, Miles, you're talking about it in your world for sure, but we can't control them. So how can we put in place safeguards or strategies or things to ensure that we can fulfill all of those things we want in our lives, even if some of the worst things happen to us and our families? So I think of it from that lens of ownership, right? We talk about empowering people, ownership of what you're doing to protect your families and build wealth, and actually learning more about it, right? Taking ownership and not just relying on somebody's expertise and just taking orders. You got to get in the driver's seat, because what was that? If you're not driving, somebody is, and you may not like where they're going. So it's so important to take that responsibility. And then it breeds the confidence that you're doing what you can for you and your family, and you're going at least directionally in the way you want it to go. So for me, when I think about starting as tips around this, because a lot of the talk around finances is investing, I actually shift the other direction. If I think of a sports analogy, I like to play defense first, and defense starts with what is, Miles, we love to talk about this. Your number one asset is you and your ability to create businesses, provide value to your employer, whatever it is, provide for your children and your family. Like, your ability to do that is the number one asset we all have, right? And protecting the heck out of that from death, disability, all those things is so paramount to ensure that you can have all those things you want for your family, even if you're not here. And investing in yourself, right? Continued development, learning, right? Somebody recommended you put at least 10% of what you make into developing yourself. You're going to be more valuable than any other investment that you plunk in that you don't control. And so you can serve people better and more, right? And do more. And then the last thing I'd leave with is something very basic, right? Having sort of liquidity and savings, right? Not just for emergencies that we can't predict, but more on the positive side is to have funds available for opportunities that may present themselves. A business venture, something happens. If you have those funds available, you're going to be positioned to maybe take advantage of them that others will not, because they're tied up and locked up in other areas and are not free for you to use. So those are the kind of tidbits I wanted to share around financial security. That's where I start. And I think they're good foundational pieces for people to consider. So it's always important just to take a look at where you are with respect to those and see if there's areas for improvement.
Yeah, that list of 56 things you were talking about, Tom, that list of human needs that, someone says that human beings only care about 56 things. And number 3 on the list is financial security, which is pretty high up there for most humans, especially after the year we've all just kind of lived through.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
And you definitely
people don't want to talk about it either.
Right. But you definitely hit on a lot of the same points, even though I'm coming from the health and wellness field. A lot of the same points that I love to share about financial security with my clients too, is that you are your number one asset. So you have to invest in yourself. And to steal another sports analogy, one of the best abilities is availability. If you're not available to work, where's the income coming from? Right? If you can't physically be there to do your job, to whether you're in your job as your own proprietor or you're work for someone else, it's going to be harder to find income coming your way. So there's a responsibility that you brought up to it as well too. And those are things that you kind of have to have in order to be not only on the looking at the actual dollars and cents sign, but how do I be responsible for my own health so I can provide and be there for all the places I need to be for people. That's where we kind of come in and help people who are responsible and want to invest in themselves, to help them kind of bulletproof their body and bulletproof this aspect of what they have to go on. I use Wally Pipp came to mind, right? Everyone knows who Wally Pipp was, or maybe they don't. If you don't, he was the first baseman for the New York Yankees in the 1920s. And he had to sit out one day with a headache. And his replacement was a guy by the name of Lou Gehrig, who played the next 3,000 games in a row. And he said those 2 aspirin were the most expensive aspirin ever taken, because he essentially lost his job because he was not available that day because of some sort of pain or because of a headache, right? Something that could have potentially been prevented. So just interesting things to think about. And, I think a common thing for us and why we want to do this is that we're looking for people who have these kind of attributes, who are responsible, who want to make themselves better or move to the next level or bulletproof some part of their life. And they're looking for other avenues to help in there. We're some good other avenues for folks to explore and ask questions of.
That's great. So
those are great points.
Yeah. And Miles, as it relates to that, I mean, injuries and pains, people that prevent people from actually continue to work and provide. And obviously you do a lot of work in protecting other assets and other things. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah. So, in going over what we were discussing is, financial security means different things to different people. And, you know, a lot of what we talk about is when something happens, there's always some triggering event, you know, that, you know, something is causing them to put their financial picture in jeopardy. So particularly in my industry, there's a lot of misinformation and a lot of advertisement out there that this whole thing is geared towards price. And that seems to be the main driver of, you know, what pushes people to go to one place or another is I want the cheapest thing. I want, you know, the lowest price. I want to choose my own price, all this stuff. And, you know, cheap is cheap for a reason. You're only going to have to use these things when you really need them, and that's claim time. And, you know, I always say if in the event of, you know, an auto accident or you have a slip and fall on your property, there's really five main assets that people tend to go after from a liability claim, you know, savings, investments, home equity. And what we were talking about, future wages is one of the big ones, as well as, you know, certain retirement accounts. But as you said, you know, your ability to earn an income to maintain your standard of living and take care of your family and keep your finances secure, you know, that could be thrown at jeopardy as something as simple as, you know, a simple auto accident. And, you know, a minor injury can, you know, be very expensive when you have to pay for someone else's medical bills, their therapy. And, you know, if they're suing you for anything above and beyond that, there's a lot at risk there. So it's always, you know, making sure that you have the right thing in place, not necessarily the absolute cheapest, just because there's so much at stake with these things.
Yeah, no, I think those are huge points because I think it can be easy to fall into a trap of, you know, it's that adage, penny wise, pound foolish.
Yeah.
And, you know, looking at the cost going out every month, but you're missing the fact that you could be exposing massive amount of dollars to risk. That's going to be painful down the road.
Right. And it's, you know, you want to pay that premium hoping that you are never going to actually use it. But if you do, you know, you always think it's going to happen to someone else, but it has to happen to someone. So you want to make sure that if and when it does happen to you, that these things are going to do right by you and make sure that all your assets and everything that you work so hard for stays in place.
Absolutely. Speaking of that, right? Because outside of which we've put the groundwork to say we all individually are our own biggest asset, most people think then their next biggest asset is what?
Their home.
Their home. So it's a good thing we have a realtor in the house. So Tippy, why don't
Nice intro. Thank you for that. Yeah, there's multiple ways to think about financial security when it comes to your home. First and foremost, especially for first-time home buyers, is to really understand budgets. You can get a pre-approval for lots of money and not necessarily have a lifestyle that allows you to still be comfortable based on that pre-approval. So it's really important to sit down and understand yourself and what your budget entails and really kind of look at your own situation in a very realistic way before you go out there and make that big purchase. And your realtor should be supporting that, not fighting you or not convincing you to buy or purchase larger than you can and larger than what your lifestyle affords. With that said, most Americans do use their home as a store of wealth. Pretty much the majority of people understand, and it's part of the American dream, is you know, that the chances are that your home's value is going to continue to increase. So you're hopefully offsetting the maintenance costs with the increase in value. With that said, I get a lot of questions about whether purchasing now will allow one to continue to have that value in their home. Nothing can be predicted, right? Who would know that we would be here after these past 2 years? I think that the key understanding when purchasing is you're looking at something that's a long-term asset. There are many things you can do with the equity in your home, such as, you know, for someone who's a little more sophisticated or just interested, you can use your home equity as a tool for financial security by investing in other assets. Life insurance is one of them. Yourself, like Greg was talking about, your child's college education. I mean, these are all really important investments in a person's life. You can also use that home equity to invest in real estate. So those are pretty much, the simplest ways to consider financial security. If you're renting, the chances are, the perception is that rents go up over time. That's correct, but maintenance costs go up over time. So there is this realistic picture. It's not an ideal situation. So understanding your purchasing power is so important for the long run. And that's something I would advise from a financial security perspective when looking at a home, which could be a liability or an asset, depending on how you approach it.
No, it's really insightful. No, it's helpful, and I take to heart the especially thinking about the earlier days when I first purchased my home, and the little I knew about it going into it, and not thinking through the bigger picture of it and what it would mean and what it would mean multiple years down the road. I think I learned quite a bit during that journey. So you can probably help them quite a bit before they get there.
For sure. I know I'm fairly new into home ownership, so it's always a little eye-opening every year. It's like, what's going on now?
It's a living, breathing thing, right?
Very much so. Very much so.
And as an investment, it's just, it's cyclical. Every investment is cyclical, no matter what you think. And being able to survive and ride those cycles is what will benefit your financial security over time.
Yep. I just keep hearing your voice in my head reminding me of that every time.
I don't know if that's a good thing.
All right, great.
And insuring properly, Miles, right?
Always.
That's really important.
But listening to everyone, which is really fascinating, coming from our different areas of expertise, is that they all hit people's lives in different ways. And what I've always said to a lot of my clients is that don't just trust what I say, that you also got to figure out what's right for you. Even though you can leverage some expertise here, financial security can mean so many things to everyone individually. But getting sort of opinions from some people like this would be really good to help you process it all.
Yeah, exactly. And different options for everyone here. That's why we're all here in this group together in different worlds. Just everyone needs something maybe a little different at a different point in their life.
Awesome.
That's it.
Cool.
Great stuff. I really enjoyed hanging out with you guys today, and we'll certainly do more of this and more topics to come, but hopefully folks found this useful.
Sounds great.
Yeah, appreciate the discussion.
Yeah, thank you all for your time.
All right. Take care.